Plastics. These are some of the tools that I use in my shallow water application. Number one, I don't know if any of you guys have heard of this. It's brand new. It's a custom Japanese lure called a Senko. It's new. Hey, by the way, I went over to the hog trough. And they got these for $6, which didn't know that's cheap. So they're selling 5-inch singles. I think they have some 4s down there. But all the Yamamotos are $6. But I think this lure is pretty special. It's revolutionized fishing. How many lures can you say that about? How many lures can you give to a kid that's never been fishing before and have them go out and catch fish that same day? And the same lure you can put into a tournament veteran, and he can go out and now he can win tournaments with it. You know, I mean that's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good darn business deal. And I can't think of very many lures in recent times that you can say that about. But this is definitely one of them. And it's such a simple bait. It's just a straight-tailed worm, and this is the best bait, one of my best baits in shallow water. And I fish it most often times Texas rig with a round bend hook. Now, a lot of people fish it wacky style. I do too. I fish it a million different ways. I mean, honestly, I drop shot it, I Carolina rig it, I Texas rig it. You know, I do everything with it. But when I fish it into shallow water, I'm most often throwing it Texas rig weedless. The reason why I do that, because in the shallow water, I'm fishing around moss, grass, wood. For instance, the Cayuga tournament, I was fishing it weightless, Texas style, and I was skipping it under docks with braided lines. The exact setup I just told you about, with braided line, 10-pound test, and I had a 12-pound test leader, gamma fluorocarbon leader. And I was skipping this weightless thing going under the docks. But the reason why I had it weightless or weedless is I wanted to throw it back because these steel docks, these metal docks, I would have hung off about every other cast. I couldn't get it through that metal beam. But I could with that. I can skip it way underneath there. And that's just it's a tremendous way to fish it. It's very easy, even for a beginner. You don't ever have to worry about hanging up, picking off all the scum and slime all the time. And the fish bite it just as good. Why? Because the way that this thing generates bites is on the fall. When it hits the water surface and it starts to fall, it's got salt in it, so it falls pretty fast and it quivers as it falls. And that quivering motion makes it look alive, and it's big, and it's dumb, and it's easy, and the fish just come over and get it. I never seen anything like it when and you know what makes me mad? I couldn't believe it. I had these suckers in my boat for at least a year and a half before I threw one for the first time. You know, I hate getting pig-headed like that. I did the same thing with the chatterbait. I had to get a kid in my boat that caught 50 bass behind me before I would make the cast with it. You know, because I looked at the chatterbait, I'm like, it's got a stupid metal lip, there's no weed guard. What is this jig, this spinnerbait? It's stupid. And then I threw it down. Now I can't stop fishing it. And the same thing with the Senko.
What do you consider light? A light Carolina, what do you consider light?
A light Carolina rig is 1/4 ounce, 1/4 to 3/8 ounce. And I'm going to talk a lot about that here shortly. But the Senko is a great way to throw it. I throw a Texas rig. Here's a great way to fish a Senko too. And I fish that in Little People where I fish on the jig head. And here's the neat thing about fishing a Senko. Anytime you attach a weight to it, I'm not talking about a slip sinker, right? It could be a slip sinker, but you got to peg it. You got to stick that weight to the front of the bait. Instead of falling horizontal like it does, weightless. When you put a weight on it, you would think this bait would just go whoop to the bottom, right? It doesn't do that. When you put a weight on it, it goes zoom, zoom, whoop. It becomes a glide bait. I call it a power glide. You know, and this screw lock jig head with a 4-aught hook is the best way that I found to fish it. What's that now?
It has that same action even with the shaky head.
Even with the shaky head. Just so long as the weight's attached. If the slip sinker, if you're using the slip sinker, what happens is the slip sinker will come and this will spiral its way down to the bottom. You still catch fish that way, but I don't find it to be nearly as much of a trigger as when the weight's a cat and you've got that glide. On Cayuga, I fished it with a 3/4 ounce Round Valley tungsten weight head. 3/4 ounce. Right? And you would think, whoop, right to the bottom. Nope. Zoom. It went crazy. And those fish ate it up. Usually speed is a trigger. And that's when you want to go fast. In the summertime, when the water's warm.
You bother to change